Hi, my name is Yvonne Rodney, and I'd like to talk a little bit on the subject of fatherhood. As my son navigated his teenage years, I made a startling discovery. His need for his father's approval and attention exceeded his need for mine. Not that he stopped loving me, but in his awkward, unsophisticated ways, he seemed to go out of his way to get his father's attention. It finally dawned on me that he could never find in me, his mother, a role model for manhood. At the same time, I was exploring ways to foster a solid sense of manhood, well, whatever manhood means, within my son and a few of his male friends. So I broached the subject of a coming-of-age ceremony to the other mothers. Like me, they were excited to do something, anything to foster the sense of manhood in our boys. What happened, though, at that coming-of-age ceremony shocked and fascinated me. You see, as part of the ceremony, we asked our boys to invite men they looked up to the ceremony. It could be a coach, a teacher, a mentor, an uncle, a pastor, or a friend, to just come and stand with them along with their own fathers at the event. The young men had to give a speech talking about their hopes and dreams. Other men we knew to be influencers in their lives were involved as well in the program. They described what it means to be a man, outlined expectations, and gave our young men a charge. Then, all the men present were asked to surround our boys, laying hands on them while a prayer was offered. And as the young men exited the ceremony, over 45 men formed a banner over them as they walked down the aisle of that church. Total men on men. Yes, of course, we women were in the background, organizing, of course, but not participating. Total men on men. The 6 newly inducted 16-year-olds, happy that the pressure was finally off them, were reveling in the surprise gift of a limousine ride to our house where food awaited. Confident they were in good hands with the limo driver, I returned to the church building to thank the men for coming and to clean up. What I found inside was the shocker. Grown men, gathered in clusters of 2s, 3s, or off by themselves. Some were crying. All were emotional. One who hurled an angry outburst to the universe. Why wasn't something like this done for me? I was not prepared for this emotional barrage. I had not anticipated the aftermath. Nobody wanted to go home. The men wanted to talk, to say how the ceremony moved them, how it touched off something special in them. About a week later, I sat a few of them down and asked what happened. Bottom line, they found the ceremony affirming of their role as men. The fact that the young men had asked them to come, that they were considered role models, that blew their minds. They did not know they had something to offer. Out of that conversation came the idea for a theatrical production by the same name, Something to Offer. In it, the subject of fatherhood was explored. Things like generational legacies, the role of women, how fathers learn to be fathers. Again, similar to the ceremony, a mysterious magic happened. The mostly male cast members were asked to describe their own experiences with their fathers. That set off a whole other chain of emotions, mostly negative. Most of these cast members, male and female, did not have any kind of positive relationship with their fathers. Many could hardly speak their lines at times, but by the end of the production, a solid brotherhood had formed between the male cast members. A local journalist who attended the performance did a write-up of the play, amongst calls for him to share a perspective on the gun violence that saw a number of young black men being gunned down in the city of Toronto at the time. His headline read, "Is Fatherhood the Magic Bullet?" 10 years later, gun violence is again on the rise in my city. Again, young men gone too soon. I have many questions. Is the absence of fathers a contributing factor to our young men or young boys joining gangs? What is the role of fathers today? What constitutes being a man nowadays? How can you be an effective father figure to someone if you yourself were never shown how? What can be done to save our sons, especially many of our young men of color who tell me their fathers are absent, and for those who are present, they might as well be absent? I do not have a magic bullet answer. What I can do is share stories of fatherhood told to me. And to that end, I've put together a short series of 6 posts on what I'm calling Fatherlogy. The word doesn't exist, but you get the meaning. Fatherlogy describes stories, perspectives, views, positive and otherwise, on this complicated relationship called fatherhood. If you've had a positive relationship with your father, share your memories. Understand, though, that those who did not might not be able to relate to what you're sharing. To them, it might sound foreign. This forum, though, is mostly for people who have never explored the impact of an absent father on their lives, or have a complicated relationship with their dad. It is my hope that in the sharing, in the looking in, each of us will come to a measure of peace. And if I were to dream, I'd hope that change can begin to take place as fathers tuning in make decisions to reverse a negative legacy. So, Fatherlogy, this is the introduction. Part 2, the cry of a wounded father. Part 3, condensed milk, daddy. Part 4, not good enough. Part 5, let me breathe. And finally, part 6, just a minute, daddy. Stay tuned.